Many thanks for joining us today. We are going to be having an interactive section with Loughborough University, one of the top universities in the UK. We are going to be learning more about their programs. We are going to be checking for facts, figures, ranking, and every other thing we should know about Loughborough University. So, joining us today from Loughborough University is Florence, the representative, and she's going to be telling us everything we need to know. She'll also be answering all your questions. So if you have questions after this session, you can just drop them in the chat box. So I'm going to be handing over now to Florence. Hi, Florence, can you hear me?
Hi, Gloria. Thank you so much for the introduction. Hi, everyone, and thank you all so much for joining this session. I'm going to be telling you a little bit about Loughborough University, and like Gloria has rightfully said, this is an interactive session. It's mostly about me answering the questions that you have. But before that, I think I will just tell you a little bit about Loughborough, just so that you have a brief overview of what we have to offer and who we are as a university. Thank you. So without wasting any more time, I think I will just share my presentation, and maybe Gloria, you can just help me confirm if you can see that.
Yes, we can see the presentation.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you. Just bear with me. Okay, great. So welcome to Loughborough University. As I've said, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about the university. I think I'll start with the very obvious, which is a question that I get more often than you would actually believe. And that's always, how do you actually say the name of the university? And it's funny, but it's actually probably one of the most difficult words to say in the English vocabulary, because the O-U-G-H, as you can see from that list, it can be said in so many years. So we've had different variations of people trying to say Loughborough, but the easiest or most common way to say is how I've just written it there, which is Loughborough. So yeah, just to get that out of the way, because I know that's a common question I get. So it's Loughborough University. So if you've been saying it wrong, don't worry, we all have been there. Some of us only learned recently after being an alumni from 2017, so I wouldn't judge. So we started as a college. We've been around since 1909, so we've been running for a while, and we started back in the day as more of a training camp, particularly for engineering. So our engineering roots ran pretty deep. We then officially became a university in 1909. So that was 1966. That's when we received the official university title, if you will. And now the university, that's actually outdated, because we're now actually over 500 acres. So it's possibly in the top 3 of the biggest university in terms of the size. It's really big, and it's a beautiful campus. We've got over 18,000 students on campus, and 3,000 are actually international students. So there's a large proportion of international students as well, from over 130 countries. So what you'll find at Loughborough University is that it's very diverse, it's very multicultural, and this was one of my favorite things as a Loughborough student. Before I worked for Loughborough, as I am now, I was actually a student there myself back in 2016 to 2017. So most of the things that I'll talk about, I'm not only speaking just as someone that works there, but as someone that was actually a student as well. So this is what we looked like back in the day, which is those 2 buildings, and one of those buildings, that's actually where our office is. And it was just those 2 buildings mainly. And this was back in 1909. And we've gone through a little bit of transformation since then, and this is what we look like now. All of that is our campus, from our student accommodation to the school buildings, different departments and facilities, a lot of sports facilities. As most of you would know, we're quite big on sports. That's all our campus. That's our 500 and something acres of land here. We've also got our London campus, which is catered to some of our postgraduate students. There's some courses of ours that only run on the London campus. So our London campus opened in 2015, and we're actually located in the Queen Elizabeth Park. So it's very beautiful. It's quite modern. It's in the innovation hub or the financial hub of the country. So there's a lot of like enterprising opportunities for those students that are doing particular courses within business or digital art or digitalization or those kind of specialized courses. You often find them on our London campus as well. London, as you probably know, it's amongst some of the top 3 student cities in the world. Loughborough University London has over 500 students at the moment. I believe that number has gone up quite considerably over the last few years. And it's home to over 100,000 international students from over 200 countries. So it's a big place, and I know a lot of students would like more of that kind of city experience, and we can cater to that. As for our main campus, Loughborough, it's in a region called East Midlands. And what Midlands literally mean is that we're in the middle of England. So you can get to all the major cities within England quite easily. So we're literally next to all the major cities within England. We're right next to Leicester, right next to Nottingham, in between those two. I actually live in Leicester, and it's only like a 20-minute drive to get to work. I remember when I was at Loughborough, I had friends in Nottingham. It would take me about 20 minutes again to get there. Birmingham is only about 35-40 minutes away. Coventry, but Manchester is about 1 hour 30 minutes away. And of course, London is not far either. It's about 1 hour 5 minutes on the train directly to St. Pancras. So it's nicely located in the center of England, meaning you can get to all the major cities quite easily. And that was probably one of the reasons I've decided to stay in the Midlands, because how convenient it is to move around to other cities. So our values as a university, we pride ourselves in being a university of quality. We work on a lot of teamwork, inclusivity, and responsibility. Those are some of the values that define our success as a university. Now, as far as where we rank as a university, I remember when I was looking at a university, to be honest, was not looking at any university that wasn't in the top 10. I had done that for my undergrad, and I wanted to go to a uni that was highly respected, highly prestigious, and highly ranked. So I was only looking at universities in the top 10, and Loughborough ranks to this day and has been ranking in the top 10 for many, many years. We're always in the top 10 of every single National League table. So currently in the Guardian, we're currently number 10, and in the CUG, we're number 7, and in the Times, we're currently number 10 as well. So yeah, that's where we stand in comparison to other universities. So it's a very good university. It's very respected, and this is also consistent with a lot of our subject rankings as well. So some subject rankings were number 1 in the world, some were number 2. We're always in the top 5 or at the very least top 10, with most subject fields that we're quite strong in. So we have a lot of international ambitions. We're all this to say, we're very keen on growing our international, or on sort of, we value international students. We understand the importance of internationalization, so there's a lot of international engagement and impact plans. So we do have quite an international profile and reputation. You know, you're coming to a place where you're welcome, a place where you're going to get a lot of support as an international student. And I always say, if you don't take anything out of this presentation, at least remember these 3 things about Loughborough. One, ultimately, it's a leading UK university. Number one, we're quite known for our education. Top 10 in every national league table, research informed, but we're also very practical in what is happening in the real world. It's diverse, it's multicultural. Our students come from over 130 countries, and our staff as well comes from over 75 countries. And one thing we're also known for is student experience. You know, you're going to have a good student experience as a student at Loughborough. We've been ranked number one for student experience over 8 times, actually, since 2006, being ranked the best university in the UK as far as our students voting as the best in terms of the student experience when they get to Loughborough, beyond the books, beyond the lectures. How's their overall experience? We've been ranked first in the UK over 8 times since 2006. We've got a large single-site campus with facilities. We've got accommodation on campus, which is a popular question I get. And there's a nice, lovely community as well that you get to have, because I know some universities, you probably have different campuses scattered everywhere. And if you're doing engineering, you may never meet someone doing business because you're on completely different sides of the campus, but at Loughborough, you're all one big community, whether you're doing business, whether you're doing art, whether you're doing sports, whatever it may be, we're all one big community. We've got a lot of sports and societies, a lot of opportunities to do volunteering. So you are living with more than just that degree that you came to do. You're living with so much more. You're living with a sort of like a whole kind of like experience if you get involved, of course. We've got a medical center on campus. We've got, depending on your religion, there's a lot of religious provision. There's prayer rooms, there's halal food, there's churches on campus. So you really do get to continue practicing whatever your faith is or whatever your interests or hobbies are. There's opportunities for you to keep developing them once you're a student at Loughborough. We've got over 3,200 international students, and they're all from 130 countries, like I specified earlier. And finally, if you're going to remember us for 3 things, like I said, education, experience, and finally, employability and enterprise. So we actually have the largest university-based graduate fair in the UK, and every single one of our undergraduate program has an option for you to do to do 1 year's worth of work experience, which is what we call a placement year. And we've also got the Loughborough University Science and Enterprise Week. And just to emphasize more on the work experience, giving the students the opportunity to get some work experience means you're leaving with not just a degree, but with work experience as well. And by the time you get onto the job market, you're a lot more attractive to employers because you've got the experience as well as the education, and you've got a real taster into what working within that industry is like. And you've had the opportunity to learn, to put in practice what you've been learning. So that's something that we value pretty heavily at Loughborough. And we'll always make sure that our students are getting the work experience that they need before they get into industry. Right. So I've already alluded to sports being one of the main things that we're known for at Loughborough, though we're very much an academic university. And I always emphasize that you don't need to play sport to come to Loughborough. I don't play any sport, but I was a Loughborough student. But one of the things that we just happen to be really good at is sports. So we're number 1 in the world for sports related subjects. And we've been that for 5 consecutive years now. So that's something we're incredibly proud of. We're a big sports university as far as having sports facilities that are state of the art. We even have 4 football pitches on campus for those of you that like playing football. And there's this championship called the British Universities and Colleges Sports Champions. It's like a championship that happens every year where all universities in the UK compete. And Loughborough has been winning for the 40 years that it's been running. So that just goes to tell you how competitive sport is at Loughborough and how well we do in that as well. So I actually heard a fact that if Loughborough was a country, we would have been number six in the world based on the number 16 or number 6. I'm getting my facts confused, but based on the number of our students who won gold medals and silver medals. So that's where that statistic comes from, that we contributed to 20% of team Great Britain medals in the last Olympics in Tokyo. So that's another fact that we're quite proud of. These are some of the sports that we have at Loughborough, from athletics, badminton, basketball, cricket, football, being one of the main ones, hockey, cricket, netball, swimming. These are all some of the sports that we offer. And it's not surprising at all to see a lot of sports athletes at Loughborough University training. I know Anthony Joshua currently trains at the university. So you see a lot of famous sports people around training. The British Olympic team, they train at the university. So it's common in the day of a Loughborough student to bump into a sports athlete as they're going to lectures or whatever it may be. So how does this help you? I think I've gone on about sport for the last 5 minutes. And the thing with sports is that it's actually a proven fact that a lot of students that play sport get higher paying jobs once they graduate. And that's so, it seems really random, but when you think about it, playing sport shows employers a wide range of skills that you don't even think of. It shows that you're a team player. In most cases, you're confident if you play sport. It shows that you're disciplined, because in most cases, you're probably waking up at 5 to attend a 6 a.m. training session and you have a lecture at 9 a.m. It shows that you're hardworking. So these are all attributes that make a person attractive to employers. So that's why we value sports so much at Loughborough, to a point where on Wednesdays, there's no lectures at Loughborough. It's actually a sports day. That's how big we are on sport. But like I said, you don't have to play sport to be at Loughborough. I didn't play sport, but I still had a nice time just as a business student back then in 2016. Even though I didn't play sport, there were a lot of like societies and clubs that I joined that were more of my thing. So I was part of the ACS Society, the Afro-Caribbean Society. There's a lot more societies, from the Flying Club to Gospel Choir, Cocktail Society, Chinese Society, Belly Dance, Hip Hop Dance Club, Christian Union. There is so many clubs that I couldn't begin to try and name all of them right now, but it just goes to show you that whatever your interests are, there's a group of people at the university that have the same interest, and you have people to share your interest with and increase your student experience, have more of a whole experience than you would just going to lectures and coming back to your accommodation. Now, in terms of accommodation, that's a very common question that we get. Do we have accommodation on campus? And the answer is yes. So we have over 18 halls of residence on campus. Some are catered, some are self-catered. I always say we've got something for everyone, depending on your preference, your lifestyle, or your budget. So if you're very much driven by budget, like I was, there's definitely those affordable, really, really affordable. Generally, our accommodation is affordable, given that we're outside of London. But there's also, if you're willing to share maybe some communal areas, your accommodation might even be cheaper. Some people, they care more about whether the accommodation is catered, which means that the food is provided for them in the accommodation. This is often very handy for people that maybe play sport, or they've got really busy schedules and they don't have time to cook. That type of accommodation is there as well. And some people prefer accommodation where they're not having to sharing the bath, they don't want to share the bathroom or other facilities like that. We do have like ensuite rooms. So there's different types of accommodation depending on what your preference or budget is, basically. And there's 3 halls that are just for PGT and PGR students as well. And they're both at Loughborough and Loughborough London as well. So we do guarantee accommodation to our international students in your first year. So you're not having to worry about looking for accommodation. Am I going to find accommodation? And all of that, you will be guaranteed accommodation because we do have enough capacity for it. And our postgraduate students are also given preference. Loughborough is actually one of the safest places to live in the UK. And our campus, you get that sense as well. You've got a lot of security around. You're not really coming in without getting through security. There's no way to get into the campus without, getting through security. So I felt really safe. So sometimes I would leave the library maybe at midnight to get back to my accommodation, and you still feel safe because you're on campus. We've also been voted to having the best accommodation in the UK in 2019, something we're really proud of. Booking is very simple. Once you receive your offer letter, when it's time to apply for accommodation, you will be sent all the information on how to apply. And on campus, I always recommend, I know a lot of, especially postgraduate students, sometimes they opt to wanting to stay off campus. You can as well, but I'd recommend staying close to the university or even on campus if you're willing, because you can utilize fully the resources that we have on campus, from the medical center to the dentist to the optician. We've got everything on campus, from banks to restaurants to little supermarkets. Whatever you want, you really get that on campus as well, because it's a pretty large campus. But like I said, off-campus options are also available. Now, as a university, if you've done research into Loughborough, you probably already know the kind of courses that we have. And I always say it's not about which courses we offer. When someone asks me a question, it's a matter of what courses don't we offer, because we offer a large number of courses. From our School of Science, we've got your chemistry, your computer science, mathematical sciences, education center, physics. We've got the School of Social Sciences and Humanities. There you'll find courses like geography and environment, politics and international studies, communication media, social and policy studies, English and publishing as well. We'll also have the Loughborough London campus, where you've got your design innovation, digital technology, like I mentioned earlier, diplomacy and international governance, innovation and entrepreneurship, international management, media and creative industries, and sports business as well. And then for the more popular courses, one of our strengths, I would say, is probably engineering. We've got the School of Mechanical, Electrical and Manufacturing Engineering, the School of Aeronautical, Automotive and Chemicals, Aeronautical, Automotive, Chemical and Materials Engineering. Then we've got the School of Architecture, Building and Civil Engineering, the School of Design and Creative Arts, School of Business and Economics, and finally the School of Sport, Exercise and Health Sciences. So those are not all the courses we have, but they're all the subjects in which you can find a lot of courses under. So overall, we probably have over 500 courses, or between 300 to 500 courses, and they all fall under within this subject fields. One thing that we're quite known for, like I mentioned earlier, is employability. We're known for linking up our students with putting them in the right industries. So we're voted the first in the UK for employer and student connections. I'll use Rolls-Royce as an example. Their whole research and development center in the world is actually on our campus. So we'll often do like a lot of research projects with them. Our students get the opportunity to get that first-hand experience. They often have a number of jobs that are advertised just for Loughborough students or whatever it may be. So that's one example of the type of companies or the type of connections we have. I'm sure you would have had someone with a really good job and you're wondering how they got that job because you never saw it being advertised anywhere. But in most of those cases, it's because the students have the right connections. And that's something that we try and give our students. It's all great coming to a top 10 uni, but it's not just because of the degree that you're getting. It's because of these things like the connections that you're building. I'm I'm sure you've all heard the term your net worth is your network is your net worth. Basically, who you know sometimes is what will take you far. So we try and put our students in the right rooms, try and meet them with the right people, even from the lecturers that are teaching you. They're people that are in industry, and maybe they're teaching on the side or whatever it may be. They're industry experts, basically. So yeah, our students are always in the right kind of like position to meet a lot of these employers or to get into the industries that they're trying to get into. We have a careers network, placement teams. We've got a group of people that are there that their only job is to help you get a job. Their job is to put you into the right career, give you the right skills that you need to sort of like place you into the industries that you're trying to get into. They will help you from your CV, from what to wear for your interview, how to conduct yourself in an interview, how to be the best employee. They give you so many tips, advice, and help. And most importantly, they tell you the job opportunities that are out there, the job opportunities that you probably won't find just by searching on Google, but job opportunities that are sometimes exclusive only to Loughborough students and beyond that. So these are powerful or very useful resources that are available to you as a student that I think you should really, really make use of when you're a student at Loughborough. They offer advice, opportunities, and workshops, like I've said, and this is available to you even 5 years after you graduate. You're still open to having this sort of support. Like I said, we offer a placement here on all our undergraduate courses. We have industry-based dissertations where you can do your dissertation in industry. And as mentioned earlier, we also hold one of the UK's largest annual careers fair for over 500 companies that we work with. And now, obviously, there's the post-work study visa as well. So after you graduate, you've got the opportunity to stay and work in the UK as well. We'll offer you a lot of support in that as well. So on the side, these are just some of the very many companies that, that we work with at Loughborough. And to be honest, the careers and employability is a driver for most students studying at top 10 universities, because there's certain big companies in the UK that they turn to favor students that go to top 10 unis or top 20 universities. You turn to be in a more sort of like favored position than someone who went to any other university. So coming to a university like Loughborough, yes, you're getting a good quality education, but you're also respected very much on the job market as well, because they know the quality of students that Loughborough sort of like produces. Now scholarships, this is probably my last slide, I believe. That's one question that we get a lot. Then probably the biggest or the most should I say guaranteed scholarship we have at the moment is a 20% scholarship for postgraduate students. So if you're a postgraduate student and you're self-funded, we've got a 20% scholarship for you. We're still open for applications for this January. I think applications close on the 6th of December. So that leaves you about 6 days to apply if you're interested in the January start. But our most common intake would be September or October 2023. And we've got a 20, so the main one would be the 20% scholarship. For MBA students, we've got up to 40% scholarship given on the number of years given on your work experience, basically how long you've been working. For undergraduate students, we've got a scholarship that's up to 25%. I think the grade requirements for that would be AAA for the 20%, or if you feel slightly lower than that and you have ABB, you can get maybe 15%, or it's merit-based, basically. We've got the Dean's Award Scholarship on our London campus, which is up to 90%. That's really competitive to apply for. But if you meet the criteria, which you can look up on the website, please feel free to apply. We've also got the sports scholarship, which is up to £3,000 if you play sport. But beyond that, you're getting a package that's probably worth over £40,000, because you get a free physiotherapist, free nutrition plans, free use of all the resources. So it's quite a large package, but as far as the value of it, the monetary value that you get up front, it would be £3,000. And it can also be combined with an academic scholarship. So yeah, those are the main scholarships that we have. As I've mentioned, we are taking applications is 6th of December, which is in the next 6 days. And we've also opened applications for September 2023, so you don't have to wait till next year before you make that application. You can start applying now so that you're nice and early. But yeah, that's it from me. I'll now just open up the floor to any questions. Like I said, I really want this to be more of an interactive session as opposed to me just talking to you. It would be great to hear some questions that you may have. So yeah, thank you so much. And maybe I'll have Gloria join me again to help me with any questions that might come in. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, hi Florence. Thank you so much. That was quite an interesting, and we had like questions for Florence. Please drop them in the chat box below, and I'm going to be picking and okay, I'm just going to quickly check if we have any questions. Okay, so Florence, I have one question for you. How do you select applicants? What aspects do you look for in applications?
Oops, I'm muted. So when we're looking at applications, the main thing we'd be looking at, we'll always state our entry requirements on the website. Before you apply, it's worth looking to see if you meet those generic entry requirements. So generally for most of our postgraduate courses, master's courses, we're looking for an average of a 2:1 degree. So I believe that's a GPA of 2.5 out of 5 or upper second class. I'm not sure what you would say locally, but that's generally the main grade requirement that we look for on average for most of our courses for postgraduate students. There are some courses that we will take maybe a 2.2 degree as well, depending on what the course is. Beyond that, we'd also look for the English qualification. So if you're from Nigeria, then you will be exempt from having to do the IELTS or any other English tests if you've got your WAEC and you got grade C and above. And that's within sort of like 12 years old. But if it's older than 12 or 13 years, then you would unfortunately have to do an IELTS. And for the IELTS, we want a grade of 6.5 with 6 in each band. So that's it for postgraduate as far as the academic requirements. Certain courses, they'll want experience like the MBA, beyond having the 2:1 degree, the English. You'll also need to prove that you've got a certain number of years of work experience as well. And generally, that's the main academic requirements for postgraduate students. And for undergraduate students, most courses, you're looking at an average. We're looking at A-levels or IB, and we're looking at grades about AAB or ABB as an average to get onto most of our courses. And the same English applies as well as far as wanting either IELTS or your WAEC grade C and above. That's it as far as academic requirements. And for all students, we also want to see a personal statement. Some people call it a letter of passion, where you mention why you're passionate about the course that you want to apply for, why Loughborough University, how Loughborough is going to help you achieve your future goals or whatever it may be. And we'd also want reference letters. So if you're postgraduate students, we need 2 reference letters. And if you're an undergraduate student, then you need 1 reference letter. And that's ultimately the main things that we look at when applying to Loughborough universities. It depends with the course. Like, for example, with some art and design course, beyond everything I've mentioned, you also need a portfolio with pieces of work that pieces of artwork that you've done to prove some sort of like artistic ability, whatever it may be. In some courses, you might even have to do an interview, but generally the qualifications I've mentioned are what we look for in our students, for students to be accepted, basically.
Okay, so someone asked, she said she's not, do you accept such class? And if you don't, is there like a program for, she just asked if you accept such class.
Unfortunately, we don't. Unfortunately, we wouldn't accept a third class. The least we accept is a 2-2, and that's only for a number of courses. But generally, most of our courses will ask for a 2-1. So we wouldn't accept a third class, I'm afraid.
Okay, so someone asked if they can apply without their full document, like transcripts, if the transcript is in process, if they can start their application with the university.
Oh, absolutely. So that's what actually most of our students do, especially undergraduate students. They would apply before they get the final results. What just happens is that you get a conditional letter to say your place is secured on the condition that by this deadline, by June or whatever it may be, you submit the final transcript grades. But you certainly can apply with everything you have, and we will give you a conditional letter. And as soon as your final transcripts come, you just send them to us and we'll give you an unconditional letter. Unconditional
Okay. Okay, so someone asked, can I enroll in your master's program with an undergraduate degree in electrical engineering without work experience?
Oh, sorry, could you come again?
Can I enroll in your master's program with an undergraduate degree in electrical engineering without work experience? Yeah,
most of our postgraduate students don't expect you to have work experience. It's only for the only course I can think of that requests work experience is the MBA. But otherwise, all our other courses, they don't expect you to have work experience. So absolutely.
Okay. Someone asked if you have information on the average earnings after completing your graduation in mechanical engineering.
Oh, I believe they said it's about 24 to 28,000 a year, which is pretty high compared to the average starting salary. But yeah, I believe it's about from 24,000 a year to 28,000 a year.
Okay, so someone asked, who are the top employers after completing MBA?
After completing MBA, there's just so many, but probably the ones that I mentioned earlier, from Rolls-Royce to Jaguar to Google. There's just so many. I couldn't list them all right now, but it's always worth going on our website and you actually see where the most recent students actually went to. But we normally work with, the big four companies, PCW. We work with them as well. So those are probably the main kind of companies that I could mention right now.
Okay, so I have one more question for you. It says, sure. What's your sorry. Okay, just give me some minutes.
No worries.
Okay, so what's the average fee for an international student?
Oh yeah, that's a very good question. The average, you're looking at about 27,000 a year to study at Loughborough. And for a top 10 uni, that's quite reasonable. But overall, it's definitely a bit on the higher side compared to other unis. But for most unis that are within the top 20, we're quite on the average mark. So we're looking at about 27,000 a year for tuition. And living costs tend to be a little bit lower because we're outside of London. For those that won't be on our London campus, living costs, you're looking at about 9,000 a year.
Okay, so what's your deposit? What's your deposit fee?
Oh, deposit. So undergraduate students don't need to pay a deposit for undergraduate students, but postgraduate students are expected to pay a deposit of £2,000.
Okay, so someone said, I want to do a master in education, leadership, and management for or the like for January or February. So do you have this course available for January? You don't have.
No, we wouldn't. I don't believe we've got education leadership. We've got management. We've got international management for January intake, and that's on our London campus. But as far as education leadership, that I don't believe we've got that. And if we did have something around education, it would be available in October 2023.
Okay, so someone also asked, like, how many weeks does it take to get a feedback on application?
I like to believe our admissions are pretty efficient and they're pretty quick. So with most of our students, particularly PG students, you're looking at 2 weeks max to get a response from admissions. And for undergraduate, because you're applying through UCAS, a third party, then you're looking at up to 3 weeks max. But on average, you could hear back within a week from our admissions. But we just put 2 weeks just to be on the safe side.
Okay, so I think I have the last question. If how many weeks, like how many months will it take to apply before okay, so if I'm trying to get this question, it's literally asking if you're having a January intake or September intake, when do you need to start your application?
For January,
like how many weeks before resumption to start application?
Okay, so for January 2023, you need to apply yesterday. If not yesterday, then apply today or tomorrow at latest, because the deadline is on the 6th of December. For September 2023, you can make an application. Normally, people start making an application between now and sort of like February, March. Though that's the common time to apply, but applications are open. I would say apply as soon as possible, especially as an international student, because there's a lot of things you're going to need to go through: visa application, accommodation application, which might take a little bit longer. So the sooner you apply, you can do things at a comfortable pace without rushing. And we're quite open we're accepting applications already. So I would always say as soon as possible.
Okay, so there's a question that said, what's your payments plan? Do you have any payments plan after the deposits?
Yes. So after the deposit, most students make payments by the term. If they're not making a full payment upfront, then they're at least making payments by the term. And there's 3 terms in an academic year. So there's the first one is around October, the second one January, and the last one June. Those are often the periods or the installment months in which most students would make their payments by. So it's about 2 to 3 payment installment plans available for students after the deposit.
Okay, someone is asking if you offer second master.
If you want to do a second master's, I believe you can apply. I think as far as now, like applying for a visa, there would need to be a justification as to why you're doing a second master's. Is there progression? Is it a change in career? If so, why? But that's more on the visa side. But as far as applying for a second master's, you can.
All right, so someone's asking can I work and study?
Yes. So on your student visa, you've got up to 20 hours a week to stay and work in the UK. On a student visa, you can work up to 20 hours a week while you're studying. And I always say, as a student, you don't want to do more than that anyway, because a full-time employee works on average like 37 hours. So 20 hours a week is a lot. And it sounds great to say you go to Loughborough, but it also means that the quality of work they ask for you is pretty high. It also means that our courses tend to be quite intense. So you probably wouldn't want to do more than 20 hours a week anyway. But that's what's allowed, 20 hours a week during school term, and on holidays, you can pretty much work full time. But the unfortunate thing with master students is that you don't really have you never really have a long break, apart from maybe the Christmas break. But yeah, it's 20 hours during school term and full time time during holidays.
Okay, so there's a question here. She said she's just joining, she just signed in, and she's asking if there are any form of scholarship. I believe you said yes during the session.
Yes, so we've got like a 20% scholarship. That's probably the most and the most guaranteed scholarship that we have for African students. So that's the one that I would probably recommend. You don't even have to apply for it as well. It's applied automatically once you make an application. That's probably the one that I would go for. And so I've just put a link there was someone asking about an update on courses. So I've just put a list of all the courses that we have in the chat box.
Okay, so this person said I joined late. Do you offer courses in agriculture for postgraduates?
No, unfortunately, we don't have agriculture. We have a lot of like environmental studies courses that might be of interest, water engineering, and all those other kind of courses. But agriculture, we don't have, I'm afraid. Ooh, sorry.
Okay, so I believe that's the final question we have here, and over here too.
Great, thank you so much. Sorry.
Florence
Sorry, Gloria. I think you brought your line kind of fell off a bit. What were you saying? Sorry.
Thank you so much, Florence. I think it was great and insightful session. Thank you so much for giving us your time. You have covered all the pointers that obviously students look for in terms of getting the job, the scholarship and everything. It was a great session. Thank you so much. And if you have any closing statement, please, the platform is all yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone that's joined, and thank you to you guys for putting this together. Thank you to the massive thank you to the SI UK for putting this together. If you've got any more questions that we might not have gotten to answer now, I'll just put my email in the chat box, so you feel free to get in touch. We'll be more than happy to help. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you.